Well, good evening, everybody. What's going on? This is Jalen, as you all know, but I am so excited and elated to be here with you all for this next episode of Generation Now. I am live now on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So, people, as you come in, please let me know that you're here. Let me know what's going on. Talk at me and let me know how you are doing. It's always good to see everybody come in and chat with me on today. I hope that you guys are having a great Thursday. It's the day before the weekend. I'm excited for the weekend. I don't know about you, just to be able to kind of have a break. I don't know if you guys have any plans or anything like that, but I know I definitely do. And we'll dive into some of those things that I have going on this weekend. But while we are still yet letting people know that we are live, take a moment to like, comment, let me know that you're here, and the biggest thing that you can do is also share and let people know that we are live and we are prepared for this next episode of Generation Now. I see we have people coming in on Instagram and Facebook and probably even over on YouTube as well. But I'm just so elated and honored to have each and all of you guys here today as we are preparing for this episode of Generation Now. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure that you all are looking forward to it as well. So as you come in, let me know that you're here. Let me know what's going on so that I can acknowledge you and say hello to you. I know it's Thursday. Most of you are probably just getting off of work or getting ready to be settled for bed. I know that if I was not on here right now, I would be either working or getting ready to read a good book. But tonight I am going to commune with my saints and friends. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. And we are going to embark on this journey as we prepare to start on this conversation. So as you're coming in, let me know that you're here. Let me know what's up so I can say hello to you. But that is all. We are getting ready to um, dive into our conversation today. And as we know that this is episode number 8 of Generation Now, and we are calling this the recap. So I appreciate you all that will be joining in and all that will be participating in this conversation. If this is your first time here at Generation Now, whether you are watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or even listening on your favorite podcast network station, take a moment to subscribe to either our YouTube channel, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, or wherever it is that you decide to do so that you can stay in touch in what everything that's going on with Generation Now. But if this is your first time being here at Generation Now, let's talk a little bit about it, what it means. Generation Now, that acronym stands for Now on Watch or Naturally on Watch. I interchanged the both of them. This podcast was created to be a beacon of light for today's emerging Christian leaders, where we dialogue and discuss different topics that are impacting our lives and hear what God is saying concerning the matter. And so that's why we are here at Generation Now today. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else, but it's truly and honestly about God, because here in everything that we do, we believe in putting God first. So we're going to go ahead and dive into our show. I've rambled enough, giving people some time to get in and get on here. We're going to go ahead and get into our show, but we are getting ready to start one of my favorite parts of the show, which is what I love to call the church announcements. We all know what that means. We all know and have church announcements in our life. If you go to church, you definitely know what that is and what that's about. So we're going to go ahead and go into our church announcement section. So first and foremost, as we know, this is not only on Facebook Live or Instagram, wherever you're watching, but we do have a YouTube channel. Take a moment to go over to YouTube and find Generation Now, or my name. I believe it is Jalen L. Malone, as most of my stuff is, where you're able to subscribe over there to our YouTube channel. For those who may be listening on the podcasting stations, you can also find us on other platforms as well, which we will be talking about too. Take a moment also to go over to the website. On the website, you can do a multitude of things. Everything that I'm going to talk about today in terms of church announcement can be found over there. Our new website. There's so many things that you can do over there. I guess it's not necessarily new at this time, but do not forget about our website. There's so much that you can do. Of course, you can listen to Generation Now. Any booking requests, if you want me to participate in a panel discussion or whatever it is that you have going on, you can of course subscribe to our YouTube channel, check out our merch store, view my portfolio as a graphic designer, request a quote, and so much more. So check us out over there at www.jalenlmalone.com. Also, take a moment to follow us on your favorite podcasting station or network, whatever that is, whether that iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast. We are definitely on there, and we would love to get your support there as well. You also can take a moment and check out our merch store. There's so much merch that's going on that you guys are able to participate in and to be able to receive over there at our website, whether that's the Fivefold Ministry Church. And for my Greater Works Cathedral folks, of course, you can order your Straight Out of Greater Works t-shirts over there as well. Do not forget, and I mentioned it before, that you can follow on TikTok. I think it's very important that we take this message of Jesus Christ not only to the areas in which we already have them, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, but I think it's important that we also are able to follow somebody who is Christian centered and be able to have this conversation and go live over there on YouTube as well. To talk about the great things and the good news of Jesus Christ. So follow over there on not Instagram, but TikTok at Jalen L. Malone. Let's talk about some other things outside of Generation Now. So this coming up Sunday, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to be able to embark with our youth department over there at Greater Works Cathedral, where I serve as a youth pastor. Um, and so this Sunday, we are having our youth service, Sneakers and Jesus. It's going to be a dress down service. We're inviting all of you all out, if you're in the Indianapolis area or surrounding areas, to come out on Sunday at Greater Works Cathedral, 4091 Millersville Road at 12:30 p.m. for our youth service. We're going to be dressing down, wearing our sneakers. And of course, I will be speaking, and Brother Makai Shaw will also be speaking as well for that, where our leaders are none other than Bishop Jonathan D. Mason and Lady Rosine Mason. I love my leaders over there at Greater Works Cathedral, and we believe that you will be able to receive something great there while you are visiting there with us. If you cannot make it, feel free to follow Greater Works Cathedral on YouTube or on Facebook, and we will be going live. Also, it's a time for a celebrate. It is definitely time for a celebration. I have received my master's degree in social work. So I will be walking across that stage on May 13th. I have gotten a lot of questions about my open house and my graduation. So I want to take a moment and pause right here to let you guys know how you guys can support and get involved. So my graduation is going to be May 13th at 4 p.m. It's going to be here in the city of Indianapolis, Indiana, at the Indiana Convention Center downtown. Now, I will say that my graduation is not open to the public. If you are interested in coming to my graduation, please let me know no later than May the 1st so that I'm able to ensure that you are accounted for and are able to join me for that day. But if you're not able to join for the graduation and you would love to come to my open house, please feel free. My open house is open to the public. We will be at the Overlook at the fairgrounds. It's literally right down the street from my church, if you know where my church is at, and right around the corner from the fairgrounds. We all know where the fairgrounds is, and that will be on May 20th from 2 to 5 p.m., where you're able to come and join me as I celebrate receiving my master's degree in social work. But not only that, I also received an e-social work practice certification. I'm sure most of you have never heard of that at all. But of course, we know that in this time, in this generation where we are living and emerging in a online nation and an online community, it's very important that social services are able to be provided to people online so that you're not having to go to a hospital or having to go to a mental health facility or whatever it is, but you're able to meet with a counselor, a therapist, receive any kind of social work services right there from the comfort of your own home over the phone or through video chat, whether that be Zoom or whatever. And so I was certified to be able to do that. And the good news is I'm one of the very first people in the country to be able to have that certification. So I think that's great and it should be celebrated. So we will be celebrating my graduation from grad school on May 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. at Overlook at the fairgrounds. So you're more than welcome to come and join me as we prepare to celebrate my graduation and move forward in that. But without further ado, we are getting ready to go ahead and dive right into this conversation on today. I hope that you all are ready and prepared to embark on this conversation as we are getting ready to talk about Generation Now and what God has been doing not only through this ministry, but through each and every single one of you. And hopefully what you guys have been able to learn while you have been a partaker of this ministry of Generation Now. So I hope that you all are doing well. You got your seatbelts fastened and you're ready to have this conversation. But we're going to go ahead and dive right on into it as we prepare to talk about what is going on and what God has been doing through Generation Now. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into it and talk about it a little bit. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to say that this is going to be the final episode for season one of Generation Now. I know. It's crazy, right? Where we will be taking a small break, intermission from doing our our lives every month, to allow God to give me an opportunity to be able to download some new things, some great things that He wants to talk about, and for us to talk about in Generation Now. But for this episode, I really wanted to take a moment to personally thank everybody who has taken time to tune into Generation Now, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube, or your favorite streaming platform, your favorite podcast platform, because I would not be able to do this without you. So I really want to take a moment, give a round of applause for all of you that have really taken the time to tune into us here at Generation Now and listen to what God is saying. Because I could not do this without you all. It's very important that you all participate and continue to listen, because without a listening ear, there would be no need for this. And so I'm grateful for all of you that take the time out to listen to Generation Hour and are interested in what God is saying in this moment concerning His people. And so, yeah, I could not do this without you guys. But today, this episode is really focusing on recapping the things that we've talked about over this season, over this first season that we've been doing this, and kind of recap what the Lord has been saying to us throughout this show. And so I hope that you guys are interested and ready to embark on the conversation in which we're getting ready to have. And I hope that you guys are ready to dive into. And I want to get some feedback on what you guys have heard, what you guys have received, and how you're feeling about things. And let me know what you guys received from it, so that we're able to continue to move forward in that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and dive straight into it. So we're just recapping the first season of Generation Now. So let's start with episode number one. Um, Episode number one was a complete accident and is the reason why Generation Now is existing today. So let's say that yeah, Generation Now was really a complete accident. Um, yeah, it just kind of happened. And that first episode was entire. I'm sick and tired of these church singers and musicians. And this conversation was started because I was scrolling Facebook timeline and I saw a post that said something along the lines of some of these music ministries, when they're watching a live stream of whatever church service it is, it's sorry. And for me, I can honestly say that I was a little offended by that. And I had to kind of uh, look at it from a different vantage point. And honestly, the Lord just told me to go live and talk about it so that I can vent about it and really just get it off my chest what I had to say, because as me being a praise and worship leader, as me being also a pastor here in the city, but most importantly, a praise and worship leader and a musician in the city of Indianapolis, and have been doing music for, if I'm honest, I've been doing music in the church for, I'm 29 now, so 17 years. I've been doing music in the church, if not longer than that. I've been doing music in the churches, and for me, and I've been on stages from small stages to large stages, and that seeing that Facebook post triggered me, and so the Lord was like, "Go live and talk about it." And so I began to get on there, and I made a little Facebook post, and kind of got a little messy, and it kind of caught some heat, and so that's how Generation Now started, and in this conversation, we focused on understanding the assignment of a minstrel and what it means to be a minstrel and where God is calling us to in terms of being in the forefront of spiritual warfare and our responsibility to the people in the service. Because let's just be honest, as praise and worship leaders, as musicians, we can get so caught up in the routine of church that we forget the very reason why we do what we do. And it's just like, okay, we're there because we're getting a check. We're there because we enjoy playing. We're there because this is my church and we feel like we have a responsibility to our church because we've been doing it for so long that, on Sunday, I'm just going to play. We show up any kind of way. We don't prepare for service. And it's just like you didn't pray all week and you just come in and you expect God to show up and show out and you never spend any time with God. But I think that it's very important that if you go back and you listen to that episode, we talked about the responsibility of a minstrel. We talked about the responsibility of the singers and what that looks like. And that episode is how Generation Now started. And that is why we are here today. So that was episode number one. Then we moved on to episode number two. Episode number two was called Halloween or Hallelujah. This conversation was pretty much a conversation about Halloween and its origins, and why we as Christians don't or shouldn't really ascribe to Halloween as the world does. We talked about the history of where it came from and how it generated from years and years and years back with the Celtic people and all this stuff. I got to put on my history buff hat for that, as my minor is in African and African American history. And so we kind of talked a little bit about where Halloween generated from and why we as Christians should not be celebrating Halloween as we should. With another great conversation that we were able to hear what God was saying, and giving direction to the people as we were preparing to go into the Halloween season. But then we had episode number three. Episode number three was entitled Cuffing Season, #Saved and Single, which is one of my favorite episodes, where we had a conversation on what it means to be dating and be saved at the same time. I had some special guests on the show with me. I had Sister Brittany Bridgeforth and Sister Jocelyn and Sister Sydney Jennings that joined me for that panel discussion, where we discussed what it means not only to be single, but also to be dating and also to be dating saved. And what that looks like, because let's just be honest, dating in today's time, especially in the world today, dating is weird. I'm just going to say that dating is weird. It's weird. And yeah, people's connotations and ideas of dating is off the wall. And I'm sure some of you all know this, but as us being believers and ascribing to Christendom, it's very important that we understand what dating is, that we're able to keep our integrity in who we are in Christ, but also be able to date and shoot towards having that godly relationship. And also we talked about the difference between courting and dating. We talked about our own personal challenges as we're dating and what that looks like and how we should be dating and things of that nature. And it was a great conversation. It was an open conversation. And looking at the analytics of Generation Now, that's one of the highest performing shows in which people are listening to. So thank you all for tuning into that episode. And I encourage you to go back and listen to that as well. But then we had episode number 4, and this episode was called "What Gifts Are You Bringing to Jesus?" which was our Christmas episode, where we focused on Jesus being the reason for the season and how we should consciously be aware of what we are bringing and presenting to the Lord in our lives. As many of times we present God any old thing, like I was talking, like for the singers and musicians, usually it's half baked and it's barely prepared, and then we wonder why things aren't going right in our lives, and we expect God to make these miraculous things happen in our life. But at the end of the day, we're not taking care of God's business. And I am an avid believer that when you take care of God's business, that He will take care of your business. And so we talked about that, being conscious of what gifts we're bringing to Jesus, and what gifts that He has given us through the spiritual gifts, and what gifts that we're giving back to Him. And our scriptural focus for that episode was Matthew chapter 2, with the birth of Jesus Christ, where we focused on the three magi, or the wise men, and what they brought to Jesus on that day, being gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And we broke that down to a natural sense so that people are able to understand what gold, frankincense, and myrrh would represent in today's time, and how we would be moving forward with that, and how we need to be consciously aware of what we're bringing to God. But then we had episode number 5. Episode number 5 was also another fun one. That episode was called Entrepreneur Rise, where we had a conversation on entrepreneurship and what it means to be an entrepreneur. We're living in a time today where entrepreneurship is kind of like a fad. It's kind of like a thing to be able to say, oh, I own my own business. You know what I'm saying? But there's a difference between starting your own business because you want to start a business and you starting a business because God has called you to a business. And I think it's important for us to understand the difference between those two. And on this episode, we had a special guest, none other than Nicole Wade. Shout out to her, who is the proud owner of Nicole Wade Enterprises, where we talked a little about her venture to entrepreneurship and how you're able to differentiate when you are called to be an entrepreneur, and God is calling you to be able to step out on your own and be able to do things on your own, and what that looks like. And not only that, but the word that we received from the Lord in that episode came from Habakkuk chapter number 2, where it talked about writing the vision and making it plain, and so that they may run and not faint. And not only that, but how we're able to be entrepreneurs and move forward with power and authority through our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, so that we're don't get kind of, discouraged in well doing, right? Because I can attest, being an entrepreneur myself who does not work for man, who works solely for myself, it can be discouraging sometimes. It can be tough because business is great one month and then it's horrible the next month or the next 2 or 3 months, and it seems like people aren't calling and people aren't requesting. But how do you still keep the faith in that? Being an entrepreneur when you know that God has called you to be an entrepreneur. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're listening to this episode, definitely go back and check out episode number 5. I think that Nicole dropped some great gems. And of course, we just kind of dialogue and talk about being an entrepreneur. But then we had episode number 6, which was probably the funnest episode in my opinion, because this episode was entitled The Greatest Love of All, which was also our Valentine's Day lesson. Truly impromptu. The Lord was just like, go live while you're driving and you're out in the community going to see clients. And I was able to just kind of hop on there with no agenda, no plan, no nothing. Just it was raw and all in the moment. And we were able to hear as the Lord was speaking to us about Valentine's Day. And in this episode, we learned that we are not to get caught up on our relationship status and how our relationship is going at the time, because I can only imagine and can relate to the fact that, you get on Instagram and you get on Facebook on Valentine's Day and everybody's booed up and everybody got their boo. And, you're kind of sitting over there like, oh my gosh, I wish I had a boo too. I want my chocolate. I want roses. I want to go out on a date or whatever it is that you choose to do or whatever. And you can get discouraged in that, but it's important that we not get caught up on that, and understanding that even in the midst of that, that Jesus is the greatest gift that we could ever receive, and that we ever did receive. And in that episode, we talked about what true love was, and true love can be found in John 3:16. And all of you that ascribe to Christendom and that read the Bible should know that scripture like the back of your hand, where it says that God so loved the world that what did he do? He gave. He gave his only begotten son, and that in return, when he gave his only begotten son, he not only gave up his son, but he also gave us everlasting life. And that is what true love is. And so we should be proud and elated for what God did for us over 2,000 years ago on a hill called Calvary, and on that old rugged cross. And we're forever indebted to Jesus for what he did for us. And that is what true love is. And then our last episode before this one, we had episode number 7, which was entitled Mental Health in the Church, which was so much fun, where I had special guests. Lakeisha Johnson was on there, who will be walking the stage with me in May for graduating with her master's degree as well. So shout out to you, Lakeisha. We did it, girl. We about to get our degrees, even though I already got mine is down here beside me. But you'll be receiving yours. I technically finished in December, but I'm excited that you are getting yours, and I'm excited for what God is getting ready to do in you and through you as you are embarking on your ministry endeavors. But I also had Dr. DeQuavion Cloud, which is one of my very good friends, all the way from Carolina, was able to join us as well. And then we also had Pastor Dart from Detroit. The great thing about this was that we talked about during this episode the challenges that the church is facing when it comes to mental health, and vice versa, and how even though we have Jesus Christ, that there is nothing wrong with having Jesus and having a therapist. And I think that in this day and society, so many times we hear, oh, you need to pray about it or whatever, but sometimes you need to really talk about it, and you need to get down to those roots, and sometimes you need to have somebody to help you, that lead you and guide you through that journey. There's nothing wrong with having Jesus and having a therapist. I'm just going to tell you that. And I'll just put a pause right here and say, hey, if you guys ever need a therapist, you looking for a therapist, let me know. I will be happy to get you guys to a therapist that I know and that will be able to help you along that journey, whether you're in Indiana, in Indianapolis, or wherever in the world. As I am an active member of National Association of Black Social Workers, I have people all over the country. So, it's very important that we not only have Jesus, but we also have a therapist so that we can be whole, because I think it's very important that we are made whole. But in this episode, there were so many gems that were dropped, so many things that were said during this episode. And I encourage all of you all to take a moment to go back and listen to that episode, because it's very rare for you to see 4 mental health professionals, not only in the same space, but also 4 Black mental health professionals and also 4 saved Black mental health professionals, all in the same room talking about mental health and the church. And so I implore all of you guys to go back and listen to that episode. And then here we are today for our final episode of Generation Now. And I'm just looking back on all the conversations in which that God has given us to talk about over these last 8 months as we've been doing Generation Now, and what God has been saying to us as we are bringing this season to, to a close. And I honestly believe that it doesn't matter what you're going through, it doesn't matter what you're facing, that there's something that will be said, something that will be done. One of these 7 episodes will be able to speak to your situation and speak to your heart. And just because the title of the episode is what it is, sometimes we do venture and we just move as God is moving. And I believe that through this season of Generation Now, it has helped a lot of people. I believe that a lot of people were touched, and I'm humbled that God chooses to use little old me. And I will tell people all the time that it is none of me and all of God to be able to do this, because honestly, I did not want to do this. I did not want to have to get in here in front of a camera and talk to people and do all this stuff. Even though I work with people all day, I deal with people's problems all day. I'm always working with people, but to be able to get out here and do this kind of thing, it was kind of, I had to battle with myself about doing it. And so the simple fact that I have been doing it and allowing God to use me to help others that are facing these situations is great. And I'm grateful that God is still yet speaking to his people, because I believe, and I'm just going to say this in this episode, I honestly believe that God is truly doing something with this next generation. Um, I believe that God's spirit is truly being poured out, as he said in the word, where he said that in the last days he will pour his spirit upon all flesh. And I believe that in this day and time that God is doing just that. And I believe that through not only this podcast, not only through my ministry, but through several of you that watch this, that listen to this, that God is going to use you also mightily. And whatever that means, it might not be a podcast. It might not be a vlog. It might not be you preaching in a pulpit, but it could be you on your job. It can be an opportunity that God uses you to speak to somebody that you would never cross paths with. But I honestly believe that Generation Now is a beacon of light for the emerging Christian leaders. And I believe that for sure. And I believe that there's conversations and topics that we have yet to talk about, we have yet to discuss, that we will discuss in season 2. And I am looking forward to that. But I really just wanted to have this episode tonight for us to recap and see where God has brought us from doing an impromptu episode talking about church singers and musicians that just blew up to have a whole show. That behind the scenes, God is doing some great things with Generation Now. Generation Now will not be something that is just going to be on Facebook, on YouTube, or even just a podcasting platform, but God is doing some great things behind the scenes with Generation Now that I cannot wait to share with all of you. But that's really all that I have to say. And I know that it's sad that this season is over and over so quickly. 8 months we have been going and been doing this thing, but this is not the end of Generation Now. I don't know what God is going to do next season. I don't know how God is going to use Generation Now next season, but I'm going to tell you from the mouth of my own, hear from the horse's mouth, I am excited for what God is getting ready to do, and I believe that God is getting ready to do something great with Generation Now. And for all of you that are avid listeners to Generation Now, that you're followers to Generation Now, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you were able to receive from Generation Now, what you guys received from Generation Now. What did you like? And what kind of things would you like us to talk about? There are no conversations, no topics that we will not talk about. As long as the Lord is leading me to talk about them, we will talk about them. And I have no problem talking about them. So feel free to reach out to me, whether on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, wherever you're watching this at. You can even email me at jalenmalone.com or go to my website, www.jalenmalone.com, and go to the contact us and say, hey, I'm struggling with this. I'm going through this, and I would love for you to talk about this on an open podcast, that we're able to dialogue and talk about discussions and topics that are affecting you, so that we're able to talk about it. But I genuinely want to take a moment again, and I cannot say this enough, to say thank you for all those who have taken time out of your busy schedule to listen to little old me talk. and entrust the God in me enough that you're willing and able to listen to what God is saying in me and through me. And I'm looking for what God is going to do in the next season of Generation Now. But this is really all that I have for you guys today. I know my countenance is a little bit low. I'm not as hype or as energetic as I usually am because I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. I am tired. Your boy is tired. And so over the next couple of days, I'm going to try to prepare my mind and prepare my body to preach. So yeah, as we are closing Generation Now, I just want to invite all of you all once again out to Greater Works Cathedral this coming Sunday, as it is Youth Sunday, and we are having our youth service, and it's entitled "Look at Me Now." Simple as that, and it's going to be sneakers and Jesus. So bring out your Jordan 1s, your 14s, your 12s, whatever it is that you want to bring out, whatever your favorite shoes are, and join us over there. But just come ready to give God your best praise. I'll be going forward with the word, as well as Brother Makai Shaw. And if you would like to join me as I am preparing to celebrate my master's degree and what God has done through me. And let's just be honest, I'm going to say this openly and publicly. You know, me going back to school and getting my degree was not easy. You know, a lot of people think that going to school, and especially being young, because my marital status is single, and I don't have any children, that I have all the time in the world. But I can honestly tell you that going back to school and getting our master's degree was a challenge. Not only was I balancing going to school, and I wasn't just in a regular program, I was in an advanced standing program, meaning that I'm taking 3 classes at a time. But taking those 3 classes, it's like triple the work. And so I was able to balance going to school and continuing to pastor, running a business, working full time, doing all the things that I do, and not dropping the ball, not one time. And so that is to be honored and to be celebrated. And not only that, some people say that C's get degrees and D's do too, but I had a 3.6 in my master's degree program, dang near a 3.7. I missed it by like a hair. And so that is to be celebrated. And then also to receive the e-social work practice certification, and being one of the first people in the nation to have that, is to be celebrated. So I want all of you guys to join me on May 13th for my graduation. If you want to come to my graduation, please shoot me a message, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, and let me know that you want to come. But my open house is open to the public. All of you all who are in the city of Indianapolis or surrounding, and you want to come and celebrate with me for my open house. I know my mom and my aunt and several other family friends and family are excited and getting the food together to have some of my favorites come out and celebrate with me for the day. I would love to see you all, shake your hand, give you a hug, and celebrate God with you. But that's all that I got for you guys today. I hope that you all stay blessed, stay in the presence of God. And if you don't do nothing else, just remember this one thing. Whenever you take care of God's business, he will take care of your business. And so I don't know who that's for, but we're going to coin that the word for this episode, that when you take care of God's business, he will take care of your business. And I'm just want to encourage somebody to let you know that you got to make time to take care of God's business. I know that we go to work. I know that we have other things that are on our lives that we're dealing with. Some of you have children and things of that nature. But when you take time, when you take moments to take care of God's business, he will take care of your business. When you have bills that you don't know how you're going to pay, take care of God's business. When you don't see a way being made, take care of God's business. When the doctor told you that you have cancer or whatever it is that's attacking your body, you take care of God's business, he'll take care of your business. And I truly and I do believe that without a shadow of a doubt. And I won't tell you guys my testimony on here openly because it's not for that. But I really honestly believe that when you take care of God's business, he will take care of your business as well. I love you all with the love of Jesus Christ. And I look forward to seeing you, whether that's on the next episode of Generation Now, at church, in the community, or at my open house or graduation, because I would love to see you all there. But yeah, I cannot thank you all enough again for supporting Generation Now. We will be back soon and very soon for more episodes to hear what God is saying concerning different topics. If you want to hear a specific topic and hear what God is saying concerning something, shoot me a message, email me, inbox me, whatever it is, and let's pray about it so that we can go forward. And I will see you guys in a few months. I don't know when God will call me back. I know it'll be in 2023. I know that, but I know that we'll be taking a couple months break just to kind of recalibrate and prepare, and be able to do things on a bigger and greater scale. So maybe we can upgrade some things and do some things differently. But I love you all, and thank you guys again, once again, for tuning into Generation Now. I am your host, Jalen L. Malone, and we will see you guys next time. Continue to stay blessed. Peace out.